Good morning, everybody. You've probably seen on the TV monitors in the past week or two teasers about Neurodiversity Week. And today, Mr. Swanson and I are going to tell you a little bit more about it and why we think it's so important for us to talk about this with you. If you were here in lower school and you remember me from lower school, you know that my job was to make sure that kids learned the best way possible for them. That's what our job in upper school is too. Mr. Swanson and I work really hard with teachers and with students to make sure that learning is accessible to you and that you learn the best way possible for your brain. I want you to, when you came in, there were some quotes on the board. Yeah, put them back up. Those quotes are from your friends, students at ASM. This is the way that some of our students feel. And I want you to just take a second to look at those and just see, what do our friends think about being neurodiverse? All right, let's change to the next slide.
You already do the first slide?
Yep.
Okay. Good stuff. Whoa! All right, so why does neurodiversity matter? First of all, elephant in the room, we have note cards because we have a lot to say. Sorry, microphone. So why does neurodiversity matter here at ASM? We know that some of you guys wonder why some of your classmates go to see Miss Brick and I for resource class or take tests or go chat with Tessa every once in a while. So Neurodiversity Week just serves as an opportunity to just kind of get that all out in the open and talk about it. And to help everyone understand that differences don't mean deficits. We also think of ourselves here at ASM as a caring community. So this week also serves as an opportunity to remind everybody about the importance of accepting differences and realizing that everybody has their own talents and strengths, and what one person is good at, somebody else might not be good at. Yeah, so this week is really about acceptance. Back to you.
All right, we're going to play a game. True or false? 1 in 10 people are neurodiverse. Shout out your answer. You think it's true, you think it's false? False. All right, I hear a lot of people saying false. Now shout out, what percent do you think it is? Think it's 5 out of 10, Alfonso says? 4 out of 10? 8 out of 10? All right, let's see what it is. It's actually 4 out of 10. And something to think about is that of those 4 out of 10, there might be people that are neurodiverse in multiple ways. For example, you might have a slower processing speed, and you might also have dyslexia, or you might have dyslexia and you might have attention deficit disorder. So some of those things overlap.
Okay. So we already kind of mentioned that no human brain is exactly the same, and I think that's something everybody knows. This video kind of just does a nice job maybe shining a different light on that, or just helping kind of put that into perspective, what that means. And cartoons are fun. Do we have sound?
We are all different, and that's wonderful. Some differences are easy to see. Height, hairstyle, gender, eye color, and so on. Other differences can't be seen. Our favorite foods, fears, or special skills. Interestingly, the way we see the world is also different. For instance, what do you see in this drawing? Most people see a duck, but some of you might have seen a rabbit. Whichever you saw, you are correct. This is just a trick drawing to show you that all brains work differently. The brain is your body's computer. It works differently for all of us and controls how you learn. That's why we are all good at different things. How you feel, which is why we all feel different emotions. And how you communicate.
So I want to use the word typical for a minute. And when we think of typical, we think of average, and we think of normal. I want to challenge that word for you, because really there is no typical human brain. A typical human brain is neurodiverse. A typical brain that's neurodiverse thinks in different ways, learns in different ways, has different strengths, has different weaknesses, because brains are very complex. So I want you to think about those variations in human brains the way you think about variations in hair color, or variations in size of people's bodies, or variations in how athletic somebody is, or how fast somebody can take a math test. Those are all normal variations, and so instead of using the word typical, we're going to think of ourselves as we're all neurodiverse in some way.
Time for another game. So first, take a look at the definition of stigma. It's down at the bottom. It's a set of negative beliefs and prejudices about a group of people, as well as negative behaviors towards a group of people. That negative behaviors is something we don't often think about, but all three of these combined make stigma sort of like a mark of disgrace, okay? So true or false? 50% of neurodiverse students feel stigmatized by their friends. True? False? Shout. Oh, come on, shout it out. True or false? False, true. More or less? More? You guys are great. It's actually closer to 70%. So that would mean of the 40% of kids or people who fall into the neurodiverse category, 70% of them feel stigma at some point in time in their lives. Now, stigma occurs in many ways. Most often it comes through in the comments we make, like, oh, that's so easy for me, why can't you do it? Or, you know, it's not that hard. Or, oh, I need to have it like this, it's just my OCD. Or things we do, like asking why a kid has yellow paper on a test, or why somebody gets extra 20 minutes. Or saying to a friend, you know, we're joking with a friend, like, you know, because they work so hard and all they can get is developing. Or asking a friend if they really have panic attacks in class, or they're just doing it to get out of class. The point is that neurodiverse brains weren't built to be successful in an environment like this, and stigma only serves as a painful reminder, which is why it's important to realize that neurodiversity is normal, it's okay, and we have to respect each other's differences, right?
So in thinking about respecting people's differences, I'm going to give you a little personal anecdote of mine. Most of you know that I love math and that I love to teach math, and I think of myself as pretty good in math. But when I was your age, I had the worst stigma about math from my friends, because 9th grade I started to take geometry, and I did not understand a word that my teacher was saying. And I was, you know, I was a good student. I was always on the honor roll. I thought of myself as pretty smart. And my best friend, who was not always on honor roll and not always as successful in school as I was an artist. And geometry was so easy for her. And she was teasing me, like best friends do, like, oh, Jackie, you thought you were so good in math, and you're failing geometry, and I have an A. And even though I kind of knew she was kidding, that hurt my self-esteem for so long that all through high school, I did not do well in math, and it wasn't until I got to college that I kind of overcame that stigma. And I had a healthy self-esteem to start with. So I guess what I want you to understand is that what is easy for some might be challenging for others, and one word from a friend that is a little bit negative can be taken in a way that affects you for a really long time. We want to make sure that we're accepting all neurological differences, no matter what they are, whether it's difference in size, in color, in shape, in the way our brains work, and make sure that we're not adding to a stigma to some of our friends that already are not feeling great about school.
Okay, so this is a handful of different neurodiverse sort of categories. It's important to remember that these are just names. These are just labels. The memory and processing speed one, that's just representative of people who have poor memory, or they process what they hear or they see a little bit slower. But it's important to remember that they're just labels and names, and they don't have anything to do with intelligence. All they are, like the video said, and I think like Ms. Brick has mentioned, is just a different way of thinking, learning, and seeing the world, right?
So Neurodiversity Celebration Week is not just something that Mr. Swanson and I came up with. This actually is a worldwide event that's being celebrated in schools all over the world. And what? Yeah, we're not creative enough to think of this on our own, but there are 2,000 schools all over the world that are taking part in this. They have a website. If you want to go to the website, Neurodiversity Celebration Week, you can find some more information about it. And in fact, I'm actually going to encourage you to do that, because this is what you can do to help.
School, hopefully everybody can hear me because, okay, we're going to go back and forth. Schools like this, for some of us, it may not be a place for everyone to demonstrate their gifts, and trying to make everyone function in the same way does nothing but damage those of us who can't fit into those circles.
And even if you're the smart kid, not everything's going to be easy for you, because all brains work differently.
So it's important to remember to be accepting, understanding, and supportive.
Because it's all about respect. And now's where you clap.